award-winning docu-series Making a Murderer brought international attention to a murder case right here in Wisconsin. The 10 new episodes in part 2 of Making a Murderer picks up with Stephen Avery and his nephew Brendan Dassey's post-conviction legal fight. Both are serving prison sentences for the 2005 murder of Teresa Halbach.
Joining us today are Stephen Avery's former defense attorney, Dean Strang, and Keith Findley, a co-founder of the Wisconsin Innocence Project and a faculty member at the University of Wisconsin Law School. They have established the Center for Integrity in Forensic Sciences, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Welcome to you both. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we talk about this exciting development, let's talk a little bit about the second season of Making a Murderer. Now, Dean, have you watched the second season?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, you are no longer Stephen Avery's defense attorney. Stephen has a new lawyer now,
yes.
Kathleen Zellner from Chicago. She's a lawyer who specializes in clients who have been wrongly convicted. She has a very impressive record. What do you know about Kathleen? Have you ever worked with her on this case or any other?
I have. For the last several months, we've been working, Jerry Buting and I, we were trial counsel. We actually haven't represented Stephen since June of 2007, but we've been working with Kathleen Zellner for the last year or more. I've provided a couple of affidavits. Jerry, I know at least one. She's a really good lawyer. She's a very impressive lawyer who now has a very different task than we did as trial counsel, but is working on that task very hard and has a track record second to no one.
So these are ongoing. These aren't stalled. The Avery
No,
case.
the Stephen Avery's case is headed back to the Wisconsin Court of Appeals. Kathleen Zellner's first brief there is due on December 20, and then the state will have a chance to respond, she a chance to reply, and ultimately the Court of Appeals, which is our intermediate court in Wisconsin, will issue a decision.
Her new effort is something you know very well, Keith, is she relies heavily on inconsistencies in forensic evidence. In the second season, she goes through in great detail all of the evidence, the blood, the ballistics, the bones, with a host of new experts, and she's trying to find new clues to exonerate Stephen Avery. Is that the right direction to be going on? That's where the answers to a case lie, do you think?
Well, I can't really comment specifically on whether that's the right direction in this case. It often is a good direction, the correct direction to go in, especially in a case where forensic science has maybe played a big part in the original conviction. And that's one of the reasons that Dean and Jerry and I decided to create this new center, is because, you know, there's a real irony at play here. DNA really launched the innocence movement. It was what showed us that there are flaws in the criminal justice system that lead to wrongful convictions. So it was a forensic science that sort of opened the door and opened our eyes. But when we started examining the cases involving wrongful convictions, what we quickly found out was that it was also forensic sciences that actually created a lot of the injustices in the first place. That many, if not virtually all of the traditional identification forensic sciences really lack a solid scientific foundation, and there's been massive erroneous evidence introduced to courts, so that now somewhere around a quarter of all wrongful convictions are attributable, at least in part, to flawed forensic science evidence.
So what do you hope to accomplish with this new nonprofit?
Well, we are really trying to create we've created the nonprofit, but we're really trying to address the problem on several fronts. One is education, working with law students and graduate students in the sciences here at UW, but also putting together trainings to take around the state and around the country to educate judges, lawyers, defense lawyers, prosecutors. That's part of it. Part of it will be to work on a policy front to try to improve the way we create and regulate forensic sciences so that they have more reliability, because really virtually nothing is being done on that front right now at either the federal or the state level, yet there's a lot that we can be doing locally. And the third goal is to apply the pressures that the litigation system, that the criminal justice system itself can bring to bear on this through litigation, by helping lawyers litigate these cases more effectively so that the courts apply the pressures that are needed to induce the forensic sciences to become more scientific and more reliable.
And the sciences, I assume, advanced greatly since 2005. The DNR detection sciences in that area.
Well, it's been 20 years since Stephen Avery was wrongly convicted. He spent 18 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. And DNA technology has, in that time, there's been legislative review, there's been improvements in DNA, there's been a lot of discussion in the public forum about wrongful convictions, and yet look at how far we still have to go.
Well, and indeed, when done right, DNA really is the gold standard of forensic science. Now, you know, the key is to follow protocol and to do it right. And indeed, so much has advanced with DNA testing that now the question can become, okay, we've detected some minute quantity of DNA, and does it actually mean anything in a given case? Because simple touch now can produce DNA. The rest of the forensic sciences really have lagged behind in validation, in reliability, and there's a structural integrity problem, an objectivity problem, when crime labs are under the control of the prosecution and the law enforcement agencies, who very often use them to confirm what investigators already believe or prosecutors already have argued, rather than taking an objective approach to where does the science lead us.
Well, best of luck with your new project, and great to see you again.
Yes, congratulations.
Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming to talk about it. Great to see you both.
Thanks much.